Right on the law signs worksheet, problem number 6. They said, you look up here, it says solve each triangle STU described below. Remember when they say solve the triangle? That means they want all the missing parts. Well, what triangle do I need to draw here so I can look at this? You got to know how to do this for his test. The test that we'll take over this, basically the same thing as these right here. What triangle do I need to draw?
STU.
Does it matter what it looks like? No, who cares? What do I put here? Letters.
T.
T. Here. Here. Doesn't really matter, right? STU. Triangle doesn't matter which order you go in. Now is where it matters, because now you're looking at what they tell you. What I put in here for angle T. Again, make sure you're writing this on a separate sheet of paper. Little s, where's little s going to be located at? Across from big S, right? So over here, 4.3. And little t, where's it going to be located at? And that's what, 8.2? Now we want to find little u, we want to find angle S, and we want to find angle U. First, in this one, the first thing we're probably going to have to do is we have to find one of the two angles, because we can't find little u because we don't know big U. Well, we can't find big U, excuse me, because we don't know enough. So what angle do we have to find? You're going to set up this proportion every time. It's going to look like that. Pick me an angle. 85. That's the only one we know, isn't it? So we put 85 there. Remember, for law of sines, you got the angle that's 85. The side across from it goes where? Right underneath it. So these two go together. Now, what's the other angle that we're going to pick?
S.
Angle S. We'll just leave it at S. You could make it an X if you don't like using S in there. And then what's across from it? 4.3. Again, I'm going to do this so that, and have out your calculator so that you can do this. I'm going to do it with leaving the words in there for now so that we can go all the way down and just pick up our calculator once. We cross multiply here. It's going to be this times sine of 85. So you just put 4.3 times sine 85. Don't make that hard just because it looks real mathy. Doesn't mean anything. Don't do all that yet. Let's pick up the calculator once. Then we do this way. So you do 8.2 times sine of S. Now we're trying to get this variable by itself, sine of S. Well, if you're multiplying by 8.2, sorry, I forgot my multiplication sign in there. If you're multiplying by 8.2, how are you going to get rid of that? Divide by 8.2. So you divide this side by 8.2, divide this side by 8.2. These over here cancel out, and you're left with just sine of S. Now we got all this over here. Can we punch that all directly into our calculator? Now you grab your calculator, and you just punch it all straight in. If you got one of the old calculators, then you have to sort of do it backwards. But with one of the new calculators, which calculator at Levi?
David has it.
Somebody else do it? Max said 0.5223. Is that what you got, Tristan? David got your calculator, you always had his own, didn't he?
Or either he has it or his girlfriend has it.
Gonna get it back from him so you don't have to take zeros, right? Soon? Right away? Write any of this down. Now, are we finished? What do you do now? Once you know sine of s equals that, take your calculator, keep it out, Chloe. We're going to be using it the whole time. What do you do now?
I think 5.2 degrees.
What do you do? When you're looking for an angle, you always hit what?
Second.
Second. So on your calculator, you hit second, sine, punch in that number, and that should tell you what the measure
31.4.
of angle S is. 30 what?
31.4.
So we'll say that's about 31.5.
Yeah.
Since it's 0.5, we'll go out one decimal place. Usually I just want you to round it off to the nearest degree. But since it's right there halfway, we'll go out one decimal place. So this angle right here, 31.5. That's one of our answers. How many more parts we still gotta find? Two more. Next easiest one to find is probably what?
The big U.
Which U?
Big.
The big U. Because what do you know about the three angles of a triangle? Add up to 180. So figure out what the measure of angle U is for me. You guys know you can do it this way too. Watch. What's the first thing you got to do? What do you do with these two? Add them together. So add them together on your calculator.
116.5.
It equals. Now, if you just hit minus 180,
It's 63.5.
it's going to give you a negative answer, but you know it's not supposed to be the negative, it's just supposed to be the positive. So hit minus 180, it gives me negative 63.5, but I know that that's not right, it's got to be the positive. So it's positive 63.5. What else do we still have to find? Little u. Way we're going to find little u, we know this is 63.5 degrees now. We're just going to set up another proportion like that one right there. Only this time we're going to stick little u in there, so we have it in there. Sine here, sine here. Pick me an angle.
63.
63.5. What goes underneath that? Little u. Can't see my point there. Little u. Oops, not big u. Little u. Pick me another angle.
85.
Does it matter which one you pick? Not really. Might be easier to pick 85 because it's got one less number. So when you're punching it in, you have to push less keys. So you got that. What goes on bottom? What's right across from the, oops, sorry. What's right across from the 85? 8.2, I was pointing at the wrong thing, that confusion. Now, same idea. When I cross multiply here, how am I going to rewrite that? 8.2 times the sine of 63.5. When I cross multiply here,
Sine of 85.
put this first.
U times sine of 85.
U times sine of 85. We're trying to get this variable u all by itself. What do we got to do? Divide by what? Sine 85. If I divide that by sine of 85, then I got to divide this side by the sine. Pen's only working about half the time. These cancel out. We're left with little u. Should be able to punch all that right into your calculator I'd probably punch in the top first, hit equals, then hit divided by. Lose your calculator key?
Yeah, 7.3664.
That's the final answer.
So I got it. Final answer.
Anybody else get that? 7 point,
3664.
so 7.4. Round off to nearest 10, 7.4. Have we found everything? Yeah, found the one missing side we were missing right here, 7.4. Found the two angles. That's all we had to do on that. Easy stuff. Especially when I only gave you like 9 problems.
I have important things to do with the race people when
Guess so. You know what I'm gonna say, don't you?
there's the leave together.
Nope, I ain't gonna say that. Those sayings are done for the year. Getting too old now for me to be doing that. Next question. Number 3. This time on number 3, what triangle we gonna draw?
EFG.
Again, does it matter what it looks like? What goes here? 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 Number 3, they tell us little g. Where's little g at? Over here?
Yeah.
So that's 14. Little f,
It's 5.8.
5.8, that's right here across from the f. And then angle g, right there, that's 83. They want us to find angle f. So we're looking for this angle right here. We go to set up our proportion. A lot of work, Max, but I could do, if I didn't have to sit here and explain every one of these over and over and over again, you could do these problems in about 2 minutes. Each one of them, 9 problems, that means your homework was about 20 minutes long. Is that a whole lot? Pick me an angle.
8. And 14.
Goes over 14,
Then it's not F.
big F there,
5.8.
5.8.
Yeah.
Cross multiply, we get 5.8 times sine 83 should equal, and I keep forgetting to put that dot in there for the times. Cross multiply the other way, 14 times sine of f. Now what? Trying to get sine of f by itself, right? So what do? Divide both sides by 14. It's gonna tell us leave us with sine of f on the one side. You can pick up your calculator, punch all that right into your calculator.
I have 0.2.
Alright, let's try it again, make sure. Again, when you're doing this, I'd probably put all the top in, hit equals, then hit divided by 14.
I got
Yeah,
so I
0.41.
got- Yeah, I got 0.41.
0.4,
One.
And
3 ones.
yeah.
Now, is that our answer?
No.
Now, if you're looking for an angle, what do you gotta do?
It's like
Hit second, then punch that in.
24.2, 7.3.
What does it say? Round the angle measures to the nearest tenth.
Yeah.
20 what?
24.3.
24.3 degrees. That's the measure equals measure of angle F. Give me one more. Which one? 14. Problem 14. I'm not drawing the whole island and everything, everybody can figure that out, right? Got A, B, and C there. Says to find the distance from the edge of the lake to the tree on the island in the lake, Hannah set up a triangular configuration as shown in the diagram. The distance from location A to location B, so A to B, 85 meters. The measures of angles A and B, and if you ever see those guys out on the road using that little thing, this is exactly what they're doing. All right, the surveyors, this is what they're doing. They're setting up an angle here, then they move it over to somewhere else and they set up another angle. And their little machines that they use can keep track of those angles, and they triangulate to get these distances.
Really hard to do survey. Like really good math.
Not really, because I worked with a surveyor at one point, and the people who worked for him were idiots and didn't know any math because the machines did it all for them. Now the bad thing is, as soon as it screws up, because they surveyed my land, as soon as the machine tells them something different than what it actually is, and they don't have a clue why it did it, because they messed up somewhere, then it's all messed up and they don't know why. So it's nice to be good
That math.
at math. That way you know if it's messing up,
But you don't need to get math.
but the machines do most of it for you. So A is 51 degrees.
You get paid a lot, dude.
That I don't know about. 83 degrees. Could we find this angle up here if we wanted to? Yeah, three angles of a triangle add up to 180. Let's see. What is the distance from the edge of the lake at B to C? So we're looking for this distance, which let's even keep it. What letter should that be? Little a, right? Let's put a little a in there. Oh, I guess we do need to find that angle. How come we need to find that angle?
What?
We do sine, pick me an angle.
51.
51, what goes on bottom of that? Little a. Pick me another angle.
83.
Now, do we want to pick the 83? Are we looking for this side? Do we know that side? Do we care about this side?
C.
No, so we want angle C up here. Well, we don't know what angle C is yet, but can we find it? So find angle C for me real quick.
$46.
46, everybody agree with that? Now what's our other ratio gonna be then?
46.
Sine 46, come on, over 85. Now that's something that we can solve. We cross multiply, how do I rewrite that?
Which is not 51 times 85.
Sine 81 times the sine 51.
85 times sine 51, and that should equal what on the other side?
A times the sine of 46.
A times the sine of 46. To get A by itself, what do? Divide by sine 46. These cancel, leave you with A. Can you punch all that right into your calculator? Yeah. Chloe's still under the impression that all this is just gonna magically sink into her head because she's not picking up her calculator or trying to,
I got 91 points.
you gotta do it all, Chloe, you can't can't,
91.83.
91.83.
Wait. Yeah, 3.
So how long, or how far is it from B to C?
91.
91.3 what? Meters. 91.3 meters. Go right on here. It's not gonna do you good. Remember, you're supposed to be putting your answers over here. Alright, again, I don't want this. I told you last time, I just wanted it on a separate sheet of paper, right? Make sure your names are on them, put them on the pink chair up there. Even if you only got a few, that's better than a 0. Watch and see.
I just got it
Substance.
super hard to get it.
Number 5. What letter is going to be on a triangle? They tell you up in the directions.
EFG.
E, F, G. So we draw some triangle. Does it really matter what it looks like? No, it makes absolutely no difference. What letter is going to go here? How about here? Here? Does it really matter how the order or anything you put them in? No, it really doesn't make any difference. Again, we will have a test over this. Probably Wednesday will be the test over this and law of cosines that we're covering today. For number 5, where's little f going to go on this picture?
That's what I get confused about. Like, where do you put little e, little?
Where's little f go? Goes across from big F, right?
Oh,
So that's 9.6.
oops. I didn't get it all wrong.
Where's little g go? Across from big G, segment EF over here, 27.4. And angle G, 43. They want us to find measure of angle F. So we're looking for this angle right here. We set up our proportion. You got to remember this proportion because with what we covered today, we're going to do law of cosines today. But once you do the law of cosines once, you don't want to do it again because it's a big, long, drawn-out formula. Remember the distance formula? Well, the law of cosines formula, or this formula, the law of cosines is longer than either one of those two. So you do law of cosines once. Once you find one of the missing parts, then you can switch back to the law of sines to find everything else. Makes it easier. So you got to remember this. Sine goes there, sine goes there. Pick me an angle.
43.
How'd you know to use the 43?
That's the only angle there.
It's the only one they told us, right? What goes here under 43? 27.4. Those two go together. Pick an angle for over here. Good. What goes underneath that? Now on all of this, I'm not going to grab my calculator right away. I'm going to use words all the way through all of these. All right? So here when we cross multiply, remember you write this down. 9.6 times sine of 43. How do I write the other side?
27.4 times sine of that.
We're trying to get sine of f, that's our variable, trying to get it by itself. What do you got to get rid of? And how do you get rid of that mathematically? Divide both sides by 27.4. These cancel, you're left with just sine f over there. Equals, and you can punch all of this into your calculator as one thing. Again, I would probably, just to make sure, I would punch in the top, hit equals, and then divided by. It probably gives you the same answer. Sharice is looking at me like I'm an idiot, so I figure that it probably isn't that way, but you're right. You missed me on
Violet having a sunder, it'll be quiet.
I bet it doesn't.
This morning.
Put it in your mouth.
I've been pretty quiet.
Put it in your mouth.
I've been pretty quiet.
I bet it doesn't keep you quiet.
To find the, for this one, since it's like the angle, don't you have to do something else?
Yeah, we're going to here in a second. What did everybody get for this? When you did that whole thing?
That's number 5.
Yep.
Or 14.
No, I don't want the answer.
Uh,
2, 3, 8, 9. Anybody else get that when they punched all that into their calculator?
Yeah.
Yes, no, maybe?
No. Hang on.
So let's try it. Everybody grab their calculator. That's the whole point of having them. 9.6 times sine 43 equals divided by, not really, divided by 27.4.
Close enough. Yeah, that's what I got. I
Is that what we got?
23.
All right. Now, this is what Sophie was asking about. What do we have to do next if we're looking for an angle? Now we hit second, sine, and you punch that number in there. And that's going to tell you what the measure of angle F is.
Wait.
What did they say to do?
What do we have after that?
Second, sine, and then you punch that in.
For the measure.
Right, for the angle. What they tell us to do with the angle? There's 10. So what's it going to give me?
13.
Nearest tenth it said on the paper.
13.8.
13.8.
Yeah.
Does everybody agree with that? 13.8 degrees?
Will you take off points if we round into the nearest degree?
No, because that's what I told you to do for all angles. But since the paper said that, we go with that answer. So this angle's 13.8 degrees. They didn't ask us to on this one, but could we find this angle? 3 angles of a triangle should add up to be how much? 180. So you'd add these two, subtract from 180. Now something I want to say on here real quick. Everybody watch. Because you guys do a whole lot more punching in on this calculator than you need to do. If I do this, 13.8 plus 43 equals, and it gives me 56.8. What do I do next to find this other angle? Just hit, the easiest way is to hit subtract 180. What's it going to do? It's going to give you a negative answer. Well, you don't want the negative answer. You just know in your brain here, hey, this answer shouldn't be a negative. I just did it backwards, so it's a positive 123.2. That way you don't have to go back and punch extra stuff into your calculator all the time. All right? Could we find this side, little e down here, if they wanted us to? Yeah, we just set up another proportion. Sine of 43 over 27.4, sine of whatever big E is over little e, and go from there.
Me do my homework. Right?
We'll get done here in the next few minutes. Next one. 6. Problem 6. What triangle am I going to draw this time? Again, does it matter what it looks like? So we draw that.
Is it easier to make that than a right triangle?
I don't know. That's up to you. The only problem with making the only reason I don't make a right triangle is because as soon as I make a right triangle,
You want to make 90?
so as soon as I do this, and I say, okay, what's this angle? What are you guys going to tell me? 90. And we don't know that, so we don't. That's the only reason I don't draw right triangles for this stuff. What they tell us about angle T? I'm not even going to look at my paper anymore. 85. Did they tell us any other angles? No other angles? All right. Did they tell us this side? Does everybody agree with that? I'm not looking at my
Oh, wait,
paper.
never mind, never mind, never mind. Sorry, I didn't realize it was the S.
What? There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Nothing there?
No.
4.3 goes in the bottom.
Here?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's little s then?
And then 8.2.
That's here?
Yeah.
That's little t then?
Yeah. We need to find it.
And we're finding two angles and that side, right? Because it says solve each triangle, so we're finding them completely.
Yeah. I got it.
So I write my proportion, sine, sine. Pick me an angle. How'd you know to pick that one? That's the only one they told us. What goes down here? 4.3 where?
Down at the bottom.
On the bottom, then what's
S.
angle S up here, so big S. Same idea here, when I cross multiply, write 4.3 times sine of 85 equals 8.2, going the other way, times sine of S. What do we gotta do to get sine of S by itself? Just cancel, you're left with sine of S. And you should be able to punch that all right into your calculator, right? So grab your calculator, make sure, because whatever answer right here, that's what I'm gonna put down, so need about 5 or 6 of you be doing it, so we'll make sure we get the same answer. Put in 4.3 times sine 85, it equals, then divided by 8.2.
I got 0.5224,
Everybody agree with that?
which is also the bottom here.
Yeah.
0.5224.
5102.
I got that.
I got 2,
I've got that 2 times in the last time I did my homework, so I'm also fine.
Yeah, that's why I got
I
it.
got like
Yes.
All right, we'll go with that then. Now what do you do?
Sign of that.
Hit, now what do you hit?
Put second
Oh,
sine 0.5224.
Hit second sine. Get something different.
Still got 5102.
31.4.
That, because this right here. Watch if I do this. I don't want to do this. No, I see. See it? So what's the measure of angle S? 31.5? That's one of our answers. Are we finished?
No. We need you and
So S is right here, 31.5 degrees. What's going to be the next easiest thing to find? What is it? Angle U. How you going to find the measure of angle U?
85 plus 31.5.
Add those two. Add those two and subtract from 180, and what do you get?
63.5.
63.5. Everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
What else do we still have to find?
You.
Little u, right? So we got to find little u. How are we going to find that?
That'll be the other side, right?
Yep.
So what you have to do the other side? Yeah, you have to do that. Oh, yeah.
Got to do a proportion again, right?
Yeah.
So sine 85 over 8.2, 63.5, that's big U over X or little u, right? We cross multiply. Here you get u, oops, that should be a little u, but U times sine 85 equals, going the other way, you got 8.2 times sine of 63.5. What do you do here before you do that, Sydney? What do you do next? Divide both sides by sine 85. These cancel, and you're left with just U equals, and you can punch all that in. 7.4. Everybody agree with that?
Yeah. How do you guys punch it in the calculator so fast?
Did we find all three missing parts?
Yes.
So we know every part of the triangle now. All three sides, all three angles. I forgot to put in the angle here. 63.5 degrees. Give me one more. 10.
And, yeah.
Problem 10. Make sure your names are on the papers. Again, same kind of triangle, right? STU. I'm not even looking at the paper. Did they tell us this side?
Little t is,
Not, did they tell us this side?
yeah, no, wait, hang on. Yeah, 21.7.
21.7. Everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
They tell us this side?
28.4?
28.4. They tell us this side?
No.
No? They tell us this angle?
Yes, 66.
They tell us this angle?
No.
No? This angle?
No.
And we're trying to solve the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Which part you want to find first?
Angle U.
Angle U, so we're gonna look for this first. Did you have to find that angle first?
No.
So I set this up, sine, pick me an angle.
Huh? 66.
What's that go over?
28.4.
28.4.
Question mark.
Sine, question mark, I'm gonna put in big U, right?
Over 21.7.
21.7. Cross multiply, you get 21.7 times sine of 66 equals, multiply the other way, you get 28.4 times sine of U. What do I do next? Divide by 28.4 on both sides. Now, do you have to do every step here the exact same way that I'm doing it? No, there's lots of different ways you punch in your calculator. Just make sure you're getting the same answer. That's why we're doing these examples. Make sure you get the same answer so that if you are messing up somewhere, we can figure it out. What'd you get? 6980.
Yep.
Now what do we do?
Second U equals
Get second sine.
4.3.
What is it? 44.3. So the measure of angle U is 44.3 degrees. It's one of our answers. Put that right here, 44.3. What's the next easiest thing to find?
Wait, how do you
What?
how do you put the second part in your calculator? After you get
This?
0.69.
Oh, now you just hit second sine, because you're looking for the angle. And then you punch in that number,
Oh, okay.
close the parentheses, and then what that's telling the calculator is you're looking for the angle, and it tells you the angle measure. What's the measure of angle S? 69.7.
Yeah.
Anybody else agree with that? Did I just take Sydney's word for it?
Well, I'm not
Yeah.
up to
Oh,
7
crap, I
and
just
7
erased
and
my
problems
answers.
for 8. Wait, so,
I'm listening.
oh, never mind, I know.
Now, what else do we still have to find? Little s. I have to set up another proportion, right?
Yeah.
Sine, pick me an angle. 66 over what? 28.4. Sine, this time we have to use 69.7 over little s.
I did it little s.
Cross multiply, you get little s times sine 66 equals 28.4 times sine 69.7 divide by sine of 66. You end up with little s equals what? Say it one more time. 29.2. Everybody agree with that? Did we find all the missing parts? Found that one, found that one, found that one. How many parts do they have to tell you every single time? They have to tell you 3. If they only tell you 2, then you can't do anything with the triangle. Have to tell you 3. And that's not just for law of sines, but law of cosines that we're getting ready to go over also. All right, make sure your names are on those. Put them on the pink chair up there.
Can I really finish this though, the right way?
You put it away for now. Maybe I'll let you see how
And
well
like turn it in.
see how well you act.